nation. Political economist Daniel Silke joins us now via Skype. Daniel, thanks for your time. We appreciate it. So, of course, we know that we can expect tougher restrictions tonight, but how does that affect the small economy of South Africa, particularly in those hotspot areas?
Yes, hi, good afternoon. Well, I think you've had an adequate and articulate explanation of how the small economy is affected. The knock-on effect of more draconian regulations is going to have a major impact on the livelihood of small business owners and also on the ailing employment rate in South Africa, which is certainly now in crisis mode. And I certainly think that, and I would hope certainly that tonight we are going to see a much more nuanced approach to what we had seen before. Now, that may be wishful thinking a number of hours before the president makes his remarks, but I think we've learned the very hard lesson that the blunt instrument of draconian lockdowns really creates far more problems than it's worth, to be perfectly honest. And I do think we could be much more clever, much smarter in terms of the geographical location of regulations and also the very targeted nature and also the adequate policing of the existing regulations that we have in force. So I think that if we get that right, we will limit the damage in terms of the smaller entrepreneur, and I'm hopeful that government indeed will take a much more nuanced approach tonight.
Yeah, and any business shutting down again, of course, is detrimental to our overall growth, and we know that the president's been trying very hard to rebuild this economy. But the argument, of course, Daniel, is that this is a matter of lives and saving lives.
Yeah, Shahan, there's always that debate, lives versus livelihoods. We've been down this road for the last 9-10 months, not only here in South Africa, but globally as well. And I think you've got to find a happy medium. Now, I think we actually had matured quite substantially in the last number of months, the way we've dealt with aspects of the regulations, in particular relating to international travel. Yes, I think one has to acknowledge that there is a substantive spike in cases, particularly along the Garden Route, and certainly in the Eastern Cape and potentially in the Western Cape as well. That's likely to flow out to the other provinces as well over the holiday season. So I think ultimately you simply have to enforce the existing rules that you have. We're not very good in South Africa at enforcing, at implementing. We've got all sorts of plans and rules on our statute books and in recommendations. I think if we did that, we'd go a long way to alleviating what is certainly a recurrence and potentially second wave in South Africa.
All right, thank you so much for that. Appreciate it. Political economist Daniel Silke. Of course, the president expected to address the nation at 8 o'clock tonight.